Hello, sisters. Welcome to She Talks, a space for you to come home to your inner wisdom, which I call your she. I'm Sara Avant Stover, and this is the third and final episode of part 1 of our seasonal series here, Bubble Bath Wisdom. Part 2 will resume just after the new year. For now, this has been a really nourishing way to let you all get a taste of the magic that we make together as a global sisterhood, while also offering some TLC as we move closer to the elections here in the US and the upcoming holiday season. My intention behind this series has been to offer you some sisterly support, emotionally and practically, in deepening your connection to yourself, on your cushion, on your yoga mat, and above all, in your everyday life. And today's talk is a fitting finale for the first part of our series because it's all about how to come home to ourselves, even when what we find there feels more like a circus than a nourishing home. But before we dive in, I want to point out that the teachings that I've shared over the past week are exactly the kinds of topics that women get a huge amount of help with in my upcoming 9-month spiritual practice community, the She School. Because we believe in the She School in making me time non-negotiable. If you did that too in 2017, that would be pretty revolutionary, right? And that's one of the best parts of my flagship program, the She School 2017, which is now open for early registration, but only for a few more days. And over this 9-month journey, I'll show you how to weave mini retreats with She Yoga and meditation right into your calendar, so you can make these time outs for yourself and your spirit just a regular part of your life. Now, while our journey doesn't officially start until February, when you sign up now, I have some gifts to support you through the end of the year, like a life design resource guide with the software I use to run my business, to write my books, the supplements that I take to keep my body healthy, as well as recommendations for yoga and meditation practices at home. You'll also get access to a live She School class to give you a taste of the program this weekend and to get the support of these teachings right away. Also, a Visioning 2017 tele-retreat in December to start to look ahead to next year, and tons of other early registration goodies. You can learn more about all of this at thesheschool.com. Now, since registration closes really soon, don't wait too long before exploring this. And no pressure. I always want you to follow your own rhythms and do what feels in alignment for you. I just want to let you know that this year's circle is forming and registration is about to close. And now for today's talk. Coming home to yourself. It sure sounds like a great idea, right? Because home feels sweet. And if that were true, you would feel strong and safe, and you would feel like you could speak your truth in even the toughest situations, and you would never ever doubt your value again. But what happens when you try to come home to yourself and it feels like someone left a big mess in there? Like you sit down on your meditation cushion and all that you notice is monkey mind, or you tune into your body and it's just not feeling well. Believe it or not, this happens to all of us as we quiet down and unlock the door to our inner house. And in fact, these obstacles are so common that the Buddha named and categorized them for us as the 5 hindrances. So today I'm going to share exactly how to work with these hindrances. I invite you to listen to today's Bubble Bath Wisdom Talk in order to make your inner home much, much sweeter. So light a candle, draw yourself a bath, and enjoy this little inner respite. Something that we start to realize as we come on retreat, we come home to ourselves, is all the ways that we actually don't feel comfortable coming home to ourselves. All the things that are in the way of us doing that. So if we think about this metaphor of home, then the actual physical location of home is our body. And we can think of our body as our house. So I'm sure you have all had places where you've lived in your life where it didn't feel so good to go home. I know I've had those places. Maybe I didn't remember. There was my dorm room my freshman year in college. It was a room that went from about the edge of this bench to the edge of the cinder blocks. And there were 3 of us in there. And my 2 roommates were not very mature. So I felt a lot of times like I was kind of rolling my eyes, and I lived most of that semester in the library. I never wanted to go back there. And I know we've all had those experiences. Maybe it's the actual location, maybe it's someone or someone's who are in it, maybe it's a situation. So when we come on retreat, we need to look at, well, what are the things that are making it hard for me to come home to myself, that make this inner home feel inhospitable? And there's going to be moments, there's going to be hours, there's going to be days here that there'll probably be shorter windows just because we're going to move through a lot in a short period of time. But there's going to be times where it's like, yes, I love being home. I feel great. I feel so connected. This is blissful. And there's going to be times where you just feel like you're crawling, you want to crawl out of your skin, like something just feels, a certain emotion or a thought that's eating at you, or storyline, just you can't settle into it. It doesn't feel right. So it's helpful if we are aware of those things before they happen, so that when they happen, we know that it's not that we did something wrong. We know that it's not intrinsically us. We know that it's not going to be here forever. And in Buddhism, these are called, if we want to look at these kind of visitors to the home that are more uncomfortable, they're called the 5 hindrances. And the 5 hindrances are 5 things that arise in the human mind. Sometimes all at once, sometimes a couple at a time, sometimes just one at a time. And I find that I can never, again, remember the hindrances too much. That they're always active, they're ever present, and there's always new facets to them for us to understand and get comfortable with. So the first of these to look out for is kind of unwelcome visitors in the home. We don't want to call them intruders because they're going to be there. Just like if you have mice. One house I lived in Boulder had mice, which was just horrible. So scary. I don't like rodents. Thailand, it was snakes. So I guess I'd rather have mice than snakes. The first one is craving. And maybe you've already felt that, like a craving for a certain food, a certain person, a certain way that you like to do things in a day. So wanting of what's not here. And craving it's physical. We feel it in our bodies. And addictions rise out of cravings. Addiction for stimulation, for a glass of wine or a piece of chocolate or a cigarette or sex or just intimate connection or online engagement. So we can be aware of this visitor of our craving. what are some ways to work with this, with the craving? One way is one of the questions we asked this morning to see, well, what is the need here? I'm looking at the needs inventory sheet. So I'm craving chocolate, or I'm craving to really talk to this person, or have, get them to contact me, or I'm really craving a certain kind of food. As women, like, food is a really big thing, holds so much. See, what is the underlying need? Do I need connection? How can I get connection? If we're in a silent retreat, is there a way I can connect to myself? To hold different parts of myself, something we'll be doing more over the course of the week. Do I need physical touch? To give a self massage or book a massage. Another one is aversion, which is wanting something to go away, craving for something to not be as it is. So having aversion to any of the things that I just shared, having aversion to silence, having aversion to certain kind of food, or maybe something that we're doing, or the way that someone is being, or a situation that we're in life. And it's a rejection of reality. So what are some ways that we can work with aversion? One is asking a question, or rather saying a statement to ourselves, saying, this moment is like this. And it helps to snap us out of that fog, that somehow things could be otherwise. It's like states to ourselves, this moment is like this. This moment is like this. And somehow with that, there's an inner alignment of, okay, yeah, I'm here. This is how it is. How can I meet this moment as it is? We can change it into a question to bring curiosity. When we bring curiosity, we bring online the neocortex, that part of us which makes us humans, part of the brain that makes us humans. We can ask, how can I be with this moment as it is right now? And when we ask the question, there's going to be an answer. And then we're out of that more fight or flight part of the brain, which is just, let me get away from this. We get caught in that trance of how can I get away from this? That one is also very body-based. We feel aversion very viscerally. Sleepiness. Traditionally in Buddhism, it's called sloth and torpor. But we feel this also a lot on retreat, especially the first days of retreat, when we've been moving really quickly and now we're slowing down, and our nervous system is starting to recalibrate, and we can fall asleep in meditation. We can just feel more groggy when we wake up. We can feel like we need to take a long nap. And that is all okay. That is all just part of the process. And it's important to factor that into our retreat time, that really the first few days, we're just going to catch up on rest. It's common to also get sick on retreat sometimes, when your system can finally just lay down a lot of the holding on to get through. So some ways to work with this. One is to rest, right? But what happens when you're meditating and you're doing this thing? We do on the airplane. You're just leaning into your neighbor, like, oh, okay, sorry. We rest, and if we're meditating, we start to breathe more deeply, especially the inhale. And if it's really strong, we stand up. You just stand up and meditate. And we'll know that that's what's happening if anyone at any point feels like she needs to stand up. Okay. Another one is, these next two are more mental. Doubt. One of my teachers says, doubt your doubt. So ways that we could think, well, maybe I really shouldn't have come here. Did I make the right decision? Maybe this practice isn't working for me. Maybe this isn't the right job for me. Maybe this isn't the right relationship for me. Those are good questions, but they can keep us out of the experience. It's like, yes, and this is what's happening. This is what's here. How are you going to work with it? And that brings us back to also beginner's mind, beginner's heart. There's a part of us, especially with spiritual practice, where we just need to give everything a try and let things run their course, see how they land in us, and then we decide. No, that doesn't work for me. Yes, I want to bring that home with me. Yes, I want more of that. So in retreat, it's important to suspend our doubt and make assessments at the end. At one point in my life, I was going on a retreat, and it wasn't a silent retreat, but I had a really big decision to make. A really big kind of life-changing decision. I was holding as my inner compass that the small decisions in life, those are the ones we need to make. Those are the ones where we say, okay, what's my next right step? What should I do here? We take action on those small things. The bigger life decisions, they end up making themselves. Have you noticed? They end up making themselves ultimately. It just becomes just clear as day. So either something happens and it's like, all right, that decision's made. Guess I wasn't supposed to be in that job. Guess I wasn't supposed to live in that house. Guess I wasn't supposed to be in that relationship. It's done. Or it's just the writing's on the wall and there's just the fat lady has sung, whatever metaphor you want to use. And it's like, okay, I can't ignore this anymore. Done. So I was going on this retreat. I had one of those big life decisions to make. I was reminding myself, I don't need to make the decision. The decision will make itself for me. And my girlfriend was encouraging me, saying, Sarah, you're going to be going all over the place. Like one day you're going to be leaning way in one direction. Later that day, way in another direction. She said, don't take action on any of it. Just let yourself flow with the movements and to feel whatever you need to feel. That's the way you're going to process it. And then by the end of the retreat, just see where you are. And I knew, the wiser part of me knew that by the end of the retreat, the decision would be made. But she needed to remind me over the course of those days. I would call her and say like, hey, I just realized this. Like, do you think I should do that right now? And she's like, no, don't take any action. remember what I said, this is part of those vicissitudes, and just take it as information. It's part of your process. So that's going to be happening to all of us this week in our own way. Maybe we have a big decision to make, maybe not. Maybe it's just smaller things that we're chewing on, but not to just follow that whim of like, oh, I'm going to go do this, or oh, I'm going to go do that, or the ideas that come up. Just let it all arise. Write down notes and inspiration, but don't take action on anything. This is not a week of action. It's a week of just listening and self-study and letting things sift and settle. So don't, doubt your doubt. Doubt your doubt. And when it's arising, name it. Oh, this is doubt. So that way you don't get hooked in and go down that rabbit hole and find yourself taking action in some direction that's actually not aligned with your original intention for being here. It's not aligned with your deepest inner wisdom. And the last one, which is probably the one that makes our inner home most inhospitable, is restlessness. And restlessness is really can influence all the other ones, I think, except for sleepiness. Those are kind of opposites. But restlessness is really the hindrance of our time. It's not being able to sit still, not being able to sit with ourselves, not being able to feel our feelings, and needing a fix, needing something to escape because we just can't stay with it. And worry and planning are part of the restlessness, part of the I can't stay in this moment, so I need to ruminate over the future. And that's not, planning is a beautiful thing, but there's a time and a space for it. There's a planning session, strategy session for your work, or a life visioning session, or a daily, planning your day or planning your week, but that's not what we're doing here. So there's a way we need to tell that part of ourselves, hey, this retreat isn't about planning the rest of my life. It's about being present. So when we notice that, we can say to ourselves inwardly, oh, restlessness, I'm planning, and now I'm back. So as we're visiting our inner house, just notice, you're not letting other visitors in other than just your sense perceptions. So we're not having conversations, we're not reading books, we're not watching movies, we're not getting all this input. So the input is really rising from within. There's a metabolization that's happening from within. And there's a rebalancing, a harmonizing of our inner elements in that. We could go through a whole study of how are the elements related to each of these 5 hindrances? What's more watery? What's more fiery? What's more airy? What's more earthy? Certainly sleepiness is more earthy. Restlessness is more airy and fiery. Craving is more fiery. Doubt is more watery. But there's an intelligence to these hindrances as well. So we can trust ourselves, we can trust our process, we can know that even if our home feels unwelcoming, feels uncomfortable, that is still our home. Just like in our relationships in life, there's challenges in the home and there's challenges in relationship. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It's actually strengthening the home. It's strengthening the foundation if it's worked with in the right way. Beyond these types of she talks, do you know what else we like to do on retreat? Because this was a talk that I offered on the first day of a she retreat at Kripalu this past fall. What we bring to retreat are elegant practices to integrate body, mind, heart, and she, or your inner feminine wisdom, your feminine soul. To do that, I offer experiential teachings, like fluidly integrating journal reflections, guided visualizations, energy practices, and yoga. Because, let's be honest, most of us do yoga on Tuesday nights, journaling in the morning, emotional work at different times, in the best case scenario. But to feel like whole, vibrant women, we need whole, vibrant practices that we do regularly. So in the She School, I teach practices in mini retreats that weave together all of these things: wisdom talks, guided meditations, women's circle practices, yoga, and other simple tools into an elegant whole. It's not just a time saver. It's a powerful practice path to help you feel integrated, peaceful, and empowered in your inner home as often as possible. So if you'd love to weave this feminine practice path into your daily life in the year ahead in an ongoing, supported way, I invite you to explore the She School 2017, open for early registration for a few more days. With that, you'll join a global sisterhood. We've had over 1,500 women graduate from our programs. And make this your year to come home to yourself. So you can learn all about the program at thesheschool.com and join us there for this life-changing journey. All right, dear ones, it is time for us to say farewell for now. I hope these Bubble Bath Wisdom episodes have enriched your life and soothed your soul in some way. And if you have enjoyed them, I'd be so grateful if you could write a review for this podcast on iTunes. That's the best way I know of for you to support me in continuing this podcast and in the women who need it to find it. I'll be back again just after the new year with part 2 of this Bubble Bath Wisdom series. Until then, I'm sending you my heartfelt support and wishing you a beautiful, blessed holiday season. Thank you so much for being part of our sisterhood.